Hello everyone, my name is Aiden Charlotte, and we are back again for this week's episode of Rookie Takeover, where KU's rookies take their talents to the big screen. Sit tight and get ready because this week we have an amazing show coming your way. Evan and I will be highlighting this past week's great plays. We have Chad talking about baseball stats as the season comes to an end and the playoffs are about to start. And we even have Brock talking about the first Ryder Cup in 3 years. All this and so much more on Rookies Takeover.
Welcome back to Rookies Takeover. I'm Emily Baldwin.
And I'm Sydney Clark. Emily, let's jump right into last night's game where the Bengals beat the Jaguars on a last-second field goal, winning 24-21. We relived the Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence era, with Burrow coming out on top for a second time, handing the Jaguars their 19th consecutive loss.
Yeah, it ended up being a close game despite the Jaguars having a 14-point lead at the half and then blowing it in the third quarter. Aside from last night's games, what were your thoughts on Sunday's games?
Sunday was another exciting day of games, of course. The Rams beat the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Buccaneers, 34-24, making the Rams 3-0 on the season. Matt Stafford threw for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns. And how about former Buck Deshaun Jackson, who blew by coverage for a 75-yard touchdown catch, his first as a Ram. It was a neck-and-neck game with Brady getting it within 10 points, but the Rams' offense was on fire, securing the win.
On the other hand, the Vikings got their first win of the season, beating the Seahawks 30-17. The Vikings haven't beat Seattle since 2009, and Coach Mike Zimmer said it's the best offensive performance he's seen in the 8 years that he's been there. Cousins delivered, going 30 for 30 for 323 yards, cruising to a much-needed Vikings win.
You know, Emily, Sunday was a bitter day for me as with a Chiefs fan. They're losing for the second week in a row, but I have faith in Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs.
Yeah, it was sad to see the Chiefs lose again. They seem to be having a rough start to their season, currently sitting in last place in the AFC West. Mahomes has thrown 3 interceptions already this season, which is half the total amount he threw last season, so it'll be interesting to see if they can pick it back up in the next couple games against the NFC East. Now we have to talk about this 49ers and Packers matchup. The amount of confidence these Packers fans had when they saw they had 37 seconds left to drive down the field. There are not many teams that feel comfortable with that small amount of time left on the clock.
Aaron Rodgers completed 2 deep passes to Davante Adams on a last-minute drive, setting up Crosby's 51-yard field goal on the final play of the game that gave the Packers a 30-28 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. This shows that you can't count Rodgers out just yet. He got the job done for the Packers.
Let's send it over to Aiden and Evan to recap some of the crazy plays from this week's games.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Aiden Charlotte and I'm here again with Evan Habits. We will be going over some impressive highlights from this past week's NFL games.
Thank you, Aiden. Yeah, those were some amazing plays last weekend. What did you think of them?
There really were some crazy moments. Let's start with Antonio Gibson's 72-yard touchdown. Here is number 5 of our top 5 best plays of the week.
Taylor Heineke throws a short screen pass to Antonio Gibson, who dodges around defenders and ends up taking it 72 yards into the end zone for a Washington touchdown.
That really was impressive, especially that speed and determination. He just kept going faster than light and just kept running down every person in his way. That touchdown wasn't enough, and the Bills did kill the Washington football team with a final score of 43-21.
That was absolutely crazy. For number 4, we head over to Foxborough, where the Saints took on the Patriots. New Orleans quarterback Jameis Winston threw the ball to the back of the end zone while getting tackled.
Marquez Callaway comes down with the ball despite having the defender holding on to him all the way down. He still manages to get up and catch the ball for a touchdown, helping the Saints win 28-23.
In at number 3, we've got the Chargers at Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes throws a ball intended for Marcus Kemp, but it ricochets off his hands, causing Asante Samuel Jr. to dive and hold on to the ball for the interception.
Incredible. The Chiefs went on to play poorly with 4 turnovers, including 2 picks, which is unlike Mahomes. Chargers take the win 30-24.
At number 2, we go to Jacksonville for the Cardinals-Jaguars game.
Cardinals kicker Matt Prater attempts an NFL record with a 68-yard field goal, but it was just short given the chance for Jamal Agnew to return and take it for a 109-yard touchdown.
For number 1, we head to the Motor City where the Ravens and Lions went toe-to-toe. In the end, the Ravens depended on their kicker, Justin Tucker, to kick an NFL record 66-yard field goal to win the game. And he made it.
That was absolutely crazy. And being a Lions fan, I thought they had it in the bag. But of course, I was wrong, and they lost like usual in the most disappointing way.
It was insane. Justin Tucker wins that game for them 19-17 in the final seconds.
And that will do it for our top 5 plays of the week in the NFL.
This week was so full of action. I mean, a new NFL record 66-yard field goal. That is insane.
It's crazy. Now, I know it's football season, but as a soccer fan, I've got to share some MLS news as we are closing in on the start of playoffs. Sporting Kansas City is currently sitting in second place in the West with 49 points, coming off a 3-1 win against my team, FC Dallas. Seattle is sitting in first in the West with 51 points, and Colorado is close behind Sporting in third with 48. And as for the East, New England is dominating with 65 points, already clinching a spot in the playoffs, which are set to begin in November. Sydney, what do you have?
Emily, I'm just getting pumped for KU basketball season. Late night in the fog is tonight, and it has been too long since I've seen Allen Fieldhouse packed. It's going to be a good time with Run DMC performing and getting all the fans excited to tip off the 2021-2022 basketball season. If you can't catch it in action tonight, late night will be televised via Big 12 Now on ESPN+.
In other college news, college football is in full swing, and some of our rookies have started to make predictions on how the rest of the year will go. After this short commercial, Chad, Nnamdi, and Jackson decided to have a little meeting to discuss some college football.
If you were to tell any baseball fan before the season started that the Tampa Bay Rays would have the third best record in baseball, towering above their elite divisional competition and the rest of the American League, they would have said you're crazy. Coming into this season, the Rays let a third of their roster position players from the 2020 postseason roster walk in free agency, as well as moving on from their two best starting pitchers, Blake Snell and Charlie Morton. Not to forget their ace, Tyler Glasnow, tearing his UCL and missing the rest of the season only 1 month into this year. All of this spelled disaster for pundits all around the world of baseball, signaling a fourth-place finish in the ultra-competitive AL East and passing by their franchise's best chance to win a World Series since 2008. Instead, the Rays got even better. This phenomenon continues to puzzle the casual baseball fan, as the Rays simply do not bounce off the stat sheet at all. They have a pedestrian team batting average of .241 and a strikeout rate at the third highest clip in baseball. Not exactly stats synonymous with 100-win baseball clubs. Not a single Rays hitter has a batting average over .285, only one slugger has more than 30 home runs, and only one runner has more than 15 stolen bases. Instead of focusing on these fossilized statistics of yesterday, the Rays have discovered new numbers that tell a better story of a player's worth and direct output on a game's outcome. Instead, the Rays take advantage of what everyone else passes on. Like the goodwill of baseball, the Rays find another man's trash and turn it into treasure. How, may you ask? Advanced stats. Every single one of the Rays' active hitters has a weighted runs created plus of over 98. WRC plus is a modern take on the classic on-base plus slugging metric that has ruled the back of baseball cards for decades. It quantifies a player's total offensive value and measures it by adjusting for runs and ballpark factors in order to find a more transparent view of a player's offensive output. Brandon Lau is a perfect example of how the Rays get the most bang for their buck in this department. In a league where 100 is average, Lau's WRC plus sits at 130, which puts him as the third best offensive second baseman in the senior circuit. A bargain for his modest $4 million price tag, since there are 10 players below him earning a higher annual salary, including the Rays' division rival Yankees paying DJ LeMahieu $15 million to hit a league average 100 WRC plus. Having at least half of your starters batting above league average in WRC plus is a good benchmark, but every single roster batter, that is a testament to the Rays' fantastic player development program and installation of their elite hitting approach at all levels of the organization, focusing more on solid contact and high exit velocities rather than just putting the ball in play, a saying we've all heard since T-ball. Just like your dad's knee-high socks and short shorts from the 80s, the game has evolved. What has developed into the Rays' trademark has been their remarkable bullpen. To win games in October, you need arms. And not just any arms, you need specialized arms. Arms that excel at one specific aspect of the game. Because every hitter has their weakness, and if you could put yourself in the best position to expose that weakness, you will succeed. Just like the Rays have shown time and time again, let's meet the cast of characters behind this masterclass of a bullpen. First off, Andrew Kittredge. Sporting one of the best sliders in baseball, ranking in the 100th percentile in chase rate, as hitters whiff at a remarkable 40.6% of sliders he throws. Next, Pete Fairbanks. His elite fastball produces a stellar -5 run value for hitters and a lonesome 190 expected batting average. Finally, Colin McHugh. McHugh is a 9th-year veteran starter turned reliever and is a perfect example of what the Rays are all about. Aging like a fine wine, McHugh's been missing bats all year by doubling his usage of sliders since 2018. His new pitch arsenal has elevated him to the 98th percentile of expected weighting on base average and 99th percentile of barrel percentage. As an advocate for these wonderful hidden stories of the game that keep us baseball fans coming back for more, I find it hard to cheer against the Rays this postseason. To quote Preacher Pearl from the best basketball movie ever, Hoosiers, David put his hand in the bag and took a stone out and slung it, and it struck Philistine in the head and he fell to the ground. Amen.
Thanks so much, Chad. It will be interesting to see how the Rays do in the playoffs. Now, Sydney, we just witnessed one of the greatest weeks of baseball in recent memory.
Yes, the Cardinals went on an incredible 17-game win streak to propel themselves into the playoffs, and the American League wildcard race is red hot, with 4 teams battling for 2 spots down to the wire being determined by this weekend's games.
It sounds like this is shaping up to be a playoffs to remember, as all the best teams in the league are playing their best baseball of the year all at the same time.
But I can't go without mentioning Salvador Perez, who as a big Royals fan is so much fun to watch. He tied the Kansas City Royals record with his 48th home run, and he broke the big league record for homers by a catcher in a single season. And he tops MLB with 121 RBIs, having 2 out of the 3 Triple Crown spots right now.
America has fallen in love with the nation's pastime all over again, thanks to the Cinderella Mariners keeping us on the edge of our seats with thrilling win after thrilling win.
Speaking of America, we had quite the weekend as we're watching our golfers take on Europe in the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits in Kohler, Wisconsin.
Yes, the U.S. team won by a score of 19-9 as the U.S. got out to a hot start on the first day, winning 6 of the 8 matches, and then continued that dominance on the final day of the tournament Sunday, winning 7 of the 12 matches to secure the win over the Europeans. Brock gives us more information on the tournament in his Ryder Cup recap. Brock?
Thanks, guys. This past week was the first Ryder Cup in 3 years, postponed 1 year due to COVID. The famous golf match resumed this year at Whistling Straits in Wisconsin. If you're a U.S. golf fan like me, it was a fantastic week for you. In what is now being called the Slaughter by the Water, the U.S. team dominated Europe, winning 19-9 in total points. Let's break down what happened. The U.S. team got off to a hot start Friday and never turned back. After day one, the U.S. was up 6-2 and the team dominated wire to wire. There were many different highlights this week. We can talk about the oldest member of the team, Dustin Johnson, going a perfect 5-0 in all of his matches. We can talk about Bryson DeChambeau hitting absolute bombs of drives all over the golf course. We can talk about the massive putts made by Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, all the other guys. But overall, it was just complete dominance from start to finish by the U.S. team, a team who actually faced lots of scrutiny before the Ryder Cup began. The U.S. team was 2-7 in the previous 9 Ryder Cups, despite being the favorite almost every time. This year, many people were skeptical about the camaraderie of the team. The classic knock on the U.S. team is it just doesn't mean as much to the players in comparison to Europe. But after this week, I think people realize how much it really means to all these guys. Headlines before the week began spent most of the time talking about the feud between Americans Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka and how that would affect the locker room. The answer was clear, not at all. After the team won, the two embraced, and they even wore shirts that resembled the movie Step Brothers with their faces on them. All in all, it was a very exciting Ryder Cup for U.S. fans, from the bomb drives to Justin Thomas and Daniel Berger getting the crowd fired up before their round when they were chugging beers. It was a great week to be an American. That's all I've got about this Dream Team. Let's send it over to Aiden with the close.
That's about it for this week's episode of Rookies Takeover. We hope you enjoyed, and please be sure to follow us on our socials at PlaymakersKU. And we'll see you next week on Friday at 3 p.m. And remember, it's not about the game you played, but the plays you made. Rock chalk.